Hello and welcome to a very special post-Summer Games Fest, or like in the midst of Summer Games Fest episode of Starside Chat. I am one of your hosts, Zach Owens, and joining me as always is Aaron Capo.
Hello.
And we got a lot of stuff to talk about because we're not going to just talk about like Summer Games Fest and like the Xbox showcase that happened today as we're recording this, but we also need to talk about the Switch 2 launch because that's out there and people are playing it. Mine didn't arrive, but like a day later, and I understand you have a bit of a story to tell.
Let's dive into it. Yeah, before we talk about Summer Games Fest and the Microsoft press conference, chronologically, the Switch launch did happen before all of that. I, of course, did not get a pre-order, and so it's kind of strategizing with my one friend who I live next to because we were going to try to go out together. I had Thursday and Friday off. I had Wednesday off too, actually. But my friend did a little legwork, and he called a GameStop that is kind of equidistant between our houses. And they were like, oh yeah, well, so we have like our pre-ordered Switches, but we also have extra stock. And we will start selling extra stock at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. And then it's basically we sell you a sticker, and then you come back at 11 p.m. and pick it up. But we only have a limited supply because we have all the ones that were pre-ordered, and then we have the extra stock. So you can try to get here at 3 and get in line or whatever, but you might not get it. And so since I had the day off, I went with my wife so I could get 2 because my friend had to work. We got there. There was a line. We got in line. And right when we got there, a guy came out from the GameStop, and he was like, all right, we're cutting it off. Like, I'm going to count down the line. We have 37 Switches. And when I get to 37, that's it. Everybody else has to leave. And so he counted down the line, and my wife and I were 36 and 37. So the line ended with us.
Nice.
So we did have to wait there for like an hour because they very slowly worked through everyone, and like because it's GameStop, so they have to like try to sell you a bunch of stuff when you're at the register.
Yeah.
But I got my ticket, and then I came back at 11 o'clock, and I picked up my Switch, and it was great. Now, a harrowing tale, a miracle of Switch launch day. Was that necessary? Zach, I don't think it was.
You don't think so?
Because they didn't have Pro controllers. So the following day, I rolled up to my local Target, and I was hoping they would have extra stock, and they had a bunch of Pro controllers. There was nobody at Target, and I asked the woman, like, hey, do you have Switch 2s? And she was like, oh yeah, we got lots of them. Do you want one? And I was like, no, I have one already. Do you have a lot? Was there like a rush this morning? She was like, oh yeah, there were a couple people this morning, but no, we have a ton left if you want one. And, so I don't think I needed to do any of that, but I did get one, and for a while I thought it was a miracle, but now I realize it is not a miracle.
Yeah, the rest of the people in line could have just gone to Target, apparently.
Well, the even worse thing, GameStop did it a terrible way because we got all of our stuff, and then I came back at 11 and lined up, and they were like, when we got there at 11, they were like, all right, there's going to be 2 lines. For the people that already have finalized receipts, which was me and like the 37 other people, or 36 other people, for the people that already have finalized receipts with a sticker on them, you can go straight to the back of the store and we'll just give you your stuff. For people who pre-ordered, you have to get into a separate line, and then we have to go through all of our stuff and finalize your receipt, and then you can get in the final line. So I got mine kind of before the people who had pre-ordered it because they had to go through an extra line, which a lot of people were mad about. I would say there was some bad vibes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this is why when the pre-orders went up, I didn't even consider GameStop. I was like, I'm not even going to look at GameStop. I pretty much exclusively looked at Best Buy and Target. I got mine from Best Buy, but I had it shipped to my address as opposed to like in-store pickup. But I realized I should have done in-store pickup because it didn't arrive on day one. So I had to wait a day in order for the Switch to actually show up. But I did get it. And so, yeah, I've been playing some Mario Kart. I got the bundle. So I had Mario Kart a code for it instead of like a physical copy, but saved $30, which feels about right for that game.
How are you liking it?
I'm enjoying it. Are you enjoying it?
I am as well. I have played all of the 50cc Grand Prix, and I made it to Rainbow Road, which was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I've started doing the 100cc's, and I'm also going around the free roam mode and doing like the P switches and whatnot. And I'm liking it a lot. It does kind of feel like half a game a little bit, because I feel like they built it in a way where they can build onto it very easily, where they can add like stuff to the free roam and whatnot. And I feel like we're just at the beginning of this, and for years to come, we're going to be seeing content drops for this game. But as a base game, I'm finding it very fun.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it as well. I've, dipped my toes a little bit into the free roam and have done some of the P-switch missions. You seem to be unlocking a lot of stickers, but it's not clear to me what you do with those. I guess you equip one, and maybe that's like your player card. I don't know. But yeah, I've been enjoying playing through the different races and everything. And I've tried whatchamacallit, the knockout mode
tour
a couple of times online as well. And the first time I got knocked out, like when it got down to 8 players, and the second time I played it, I actually made second place. So that was nice. Whoa. That was fun. It's sort of like
who have you been racing as?
I've been switching it up a lot. So you unlock Donkey Kong, like I think was maybe the first character I unlocked. And so I played as him for a while, and I got like one of his like costume outfit unlocks, which I want to say is supposed to, I don't know if the costumes do something special like for your stats or not.
I don't think they do.
But the one that's called All Terrain is the Donkey Kong I've been using. But I played as Mario for a while because I noticed he has like a bunch of skins available to get. So I was trying to...
Him and Peach and Daisy and Luigi, I feel like, and Toad have a ton of... I think they have like the most costume variations.
So I've been trying to unlock some of their different costumes. I've been playing as Mario and Luigi a little bit here and there as well. But I've been enjoying it quite a bit. Any like overall thoughts on the hardware itself?
I love it. I love to take off the Joy-Cons. So I did get a Pro Controller, and I really am liking the Pro Controller. It has the 2 extra grip buttons, which I have not assigned to anything yet, but I'm really liking it. I also really like the sound it makes when it turns on. When it's like docked. I don't know if it does this when it's not docked, but it makes a cool little sound. Much like the Xbox and the PS5 do, because the original Switch didn't make any sound when you turned it on; it just kind of came on.
Yeah.
But I haven't really tried out the mouse functionality because I'm mostly playing with the Pro Controller. But it's very premium. The screen's nice and big. The buttons are nice. The Joy-Cons are all super nice. It feels very premium.
It does. Yeah, it is bigger than the Switch 1 and the Switch OLED and everything. It doesn't have an OLED screen, but the screen is bigger. I assume at some point they will do like a mid-cycle upgrade that does have an OLED screen. But the Joy-Cons feel so much better than the first-gen Joy-Cons.
They're so nice.
They're larger. The thumbsticks feel so much better to use. I did not get a Pro Controller. I'll probably get one at some point, but I still have my 2 Pro Controllers from the first-gen that I can still use with the Switch 2. So I have done that as well. I used that for a while I was playing, but I've been trying to really check out the new Joy-Cons and see what those are like. Mm-hmm. The rumble definitely feels better than the first gen ones.
I agree.
From what I've heard, the upgrade from the first gen Joy-Cons to the second gen Joy-Cons is like pretty noticeable, but less so in the case of the Pro Controller. So like you don't, like if you're going from the first gen Pro Controller to the second gen Pro Controller, like it's nice, but it's not as like, there's not as vast a gulf between them as there is between the Joy-Cons.
The Pro Controller 2, or whatever the official name is, also has a headphone jack.
That's...
So I can put my headphones on while I play it, which has also been super nice.
I think, doesn't it have Bluetooth like connectivity right out of the box this time? Whereas like we had to wait for that for a long time on the Switch 1.
Well, it's interesting because I got my Pro Controller and I was like, oh, I'll plug my headphones in. And I did it, but immediately I got a message on screen that was like, your Pro Controller needs an update. I was like, oh. So then it was pretty easy to do. I just went to settings and found controllers and did like update my controllers. And when you do that, it goes through all the controllers. So first it tried to do updates for the left Joy-Con, then the right Joy-Con. And then it saw I had a Pro Controller connected to it. And that's the one where it like downloaded stuff. And it only took like 30 seconds. But afterward, it was like, okay, it's good to go. And then my headphones actually worked. And so I don't know if it was like, probably that was also the update that includes the Bluetooth right out of the box, or I don't know, but it works great. The sound, I mean, I've only really played Mario Kart World, as is probably the case for most people, but the sound design on that is excellent. I love to listen to all the music remixes, and it's just like so satisfying, the like jumping and whatnot. I've been loving it. I'm excited to play more of it. I'm excited for them to release more content for it.
Yeah, me too. I was thinking about it, and it like just having Mario Kart as like sort of the only game that's out right now, like that tour game does not really count, which I do not plan on buying. And then they released the GameCube stuff for Nintendo Online, which is nice, and so Wind Waker is on there, so I could play that, I guess. But I've just been playing Mario Kart World. And I forget when Donkey Kong is coming out, but I'm excited to play that.
It's like July 17th or 22nd or something. It's mid-July, mid to late July.
Well, I'm excited to check that one out. Probably more excited than I am to play Mario Kart, but I'm enjoying Mario Kart. But to have like, I don't know, a new Donkey Kong game, that sounds fun to me. So I think you'll
should we dive into...
Well, I was going to ask, do you think you'll check out any of the updated games for like from past gen?
The only one I was really thinking about checking out is and I think it's a free update. They did a free update for Super Mario Odyssey. And I love that game. That's maybe my favorite Switch game. Yeah,
there were some games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom that have like official Switch 2 versions, but then there were a bunch of like free updates for Switch 1 games, so like Link's Awakening, Echoes of Wisdom, Mario Odyssey, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and then Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Those all got like free updates to make them look better and run better on Switch 2. And I actually considered jumping in and replaying the Bowser's Fury thing, because it's like such a fun like open world thing, but it's also like shorter, so it's not as huge a commitment. But I don't know. Maybe we'll check those out and report back. But yeah, we should dive into all the fake E3 stuff.
Keely's thing is first, and we'll probably talk about it the least amount of time. I would say not a great showcase overall. I feel like
we say that about Summer Games Fest every year.
Yeah, the Game Awards are really where he shines, especially last year when it was the 10-year anniversary. And I feel like that was a great show. But this one, it did not have any of the things that I put in my, this is a good press conference checklist. I mean, technically it did, but it was all stuff I don't care about. Like, they had a thing at the beginning, which was, what is this? And then it slowly reveals what it is. But it was for that, Luminous game, which I don't really care about. And then they did have a thing at the end that was, a quote-unquote good reveal for the new Resident Evil, but that's also something I don't super care about. So they had one more thing, and they had a cool opener, but just the contents inside, there was nothing that really caught my eye.
Yeah.
There was maybe one or two things.
Yeah, the big takeaway from it was the announcement of a new Resident Evil game, but it's not our franchise, so neither of us really care about it. But that was sort of the big reveal. I
was really into the Atomic Heart 2 trailer, I'll say that. And then it was a 1-2 punch where they were like, here's Atomic Heart 2, which looked crazy, had a great trailer. And also, in the same universe as Atomic Heart, which, by the way, Atomic Heart 2 is a spiritual successor, so it's probably going to be different characters and whatnot, but same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And after that, they revealed The Cube, which is an MMO set, I guess, in the same universe as Atomic Heart 2, or I guess Atomic Heart, the Atomic Heart-averse. But
yeah, how
I thought
bizarre,
this was cool. I
right?
don't know what it is.
I was so taken aback by that. Like, I didn't think that game did that well, but they are like double and tripling down on it by making not just a sequel, but also like an MMO. That's crazy to me, but I guess we'll see how it does.
It looked cool. I gotta say that was my favorite trailer. The Atomic Heart 2 trailer was my favorite trailer in the Summer Games Fest, I think.
Yeah. I can't think of one that I would say tops it, so it probably was my favorite as well, even though I thought it was like a little bit of a gamble to double down on a franchise that I didn't think did that well, but maybe it did better than I thought.
He did have a celebrity on stage for a while. They had Mads Mikkelsen show up for the extended look at the Hitman Anniversary Le Chiffre mission. How do you say that? Le Chiffre?
Yeah.
Which looks cool. Available today. But I don't know that Mads Mikkelsen needed to be there for that.
Well, he's got to get his celebrity friends out there on stage, and that one made some sense, I guess, because he's reprising his role as a Bond villain in a Hitman level that is now out. And supposedly, if you play through that content, you get some stuff for 007 First Light when that comes out next year. So they have like some
We talked
tie-in.
about this last week. We talked about how we were thinking it's going to be revealed, but we didn't have a name. And they revealed it almost right after we started recording.
Yeah.
007 First Light.
Not
what did you think of
most,
this as the Bond expert?
Not the most Fleming-esque title, I would say. First Light sounds kind of like a Destiny expansion, but yeah, I don't know what to think of this. I don't necessarily love going back to like Origins all the time. I feel like that's like sort of become a cliche thing that people like to do now. But what did you think of the like player character or the Bond character model in this? He kind of reminds me of like Tom Holland mixed with like the guy from Kingsman.
Yeah, I mean, they had a choice. They could give this role to an actor and make it like an iconic face, but they did not do that. Instead, it's just kind of like a generic face, generic British guy, a guy, I would say.
Yeah.
He seems fine, kind of a blank slate. He doesn't have any, like, I would say he's like almost completely nondescript, which I guess is good for a spy. You want to not stand out.
I mean, to an extent, I feel like maybe they're just like there's more to reveal there once you actually play the game, I'm sure. But yeah, he doesn't have like an iconic look where you look at him and immediately go, oh, that's 007. Whereas usually when they cast a new actor and you see them in a Bond trailer, you're like, okay, this is Bond. I get it. But somehow that did not grab me. With the same with their casting of M, that it was not obvious to me that it was M that I was looking at in the trailer because they're so young. It's like they have this young woman who's probably roughly the same age as the Bond character. And you would think for that particular role, like there's a reason they always cast like an older person. Like Judi Dench is not a young person. Like you have to work your way through like the ranks, you know, and have experience to get a role like that. But so I thought it was an odd choice to have somebody so young for that role.
They did have an old Q though.
Yeah, Q did seem... That was an interesting Q to me, I thought. So I'm curious to see what they do with that. And yeah, what else?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's too early to tell.
What else does the Steam store page say about this? It's, let's see. Standalone, reimagined Bond origin story. And then, yeah, you have some driving missions, it looks like. I guess they could be cinematic, but looks like maybe some driving missions. I do like that they are going to have gadgets, which I think was like a huge missed opportunity during the Craig era of movies. So
yeah.
I will probably check this out when it comes out next year, but I don't know. I'm very curious to see what some of the level designs are like. So,
did you watch the Day of the Devs directly following?
I did not.
Summer
No.
Games Fest live. You missed out on The Expanse: Osiris Reborn.
Yeah, you put this in our show notes, and I was like, wait, how did I miss this? What was this?
So it's giving like real Mass Effect vibes. In fact, when I looked at it the first time, the first comment under it was someone saying like, "I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite Mass Effect sequel." Because it's really like, I mean, a lot of this is cinematic. You'll like probably like almost 3/4 of this is cinematic, kind of laying out the story. But at the end, you can kind of see some gameplay, and it looks pretty cool. I love The Expanse. We both love The Expanse. I don't know enough to know when this is set, but it's got like very Mass Effect looking combat where you're kind of like crouching behind cover. And it's got some cool gravity stuff because obviously you're in 0G for a lot of it. It looks very slick and like high quality. There's obviously some, what is it? The proto-molecule? What are they always trying to get after?
Yeah, the proto-molecule, and it looks like, because the proto-molecule in the show always made me think of like the husks from Mass Effect. Yeah. And now it seems like maybe you'll be fighting against some of them. So maybe it's it does feel very Mass Effect-y to me. So yeah, so this is
Make
supposed to be...
strategic decisions that influence the bonds between yourself and your fellow squad mates. Engage in real-time strategic cover mechanics using various abilities and squad coordination, all while being immersed while traveling to iconic locations from the TV show and books. Coming soon to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
Yeah, a sci-fi action RPG. I'm into that as a genre, and I like this this franchise. So I'll probably.
It looks cool. I never
out.
played that Telltale. Who's that girl? That did you play that Telltale thing?
No,
that was, like,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, what was her name? Starts with a B.
A cool character.
But I can't remember her name. But yeah, cool character. I'm not super into like the Telltale style of game, so yeah, I was like, whatever. But it seemed kind of interesting. I guess it's more of The Expanse if you're into that. But what?
The other thing I saw, did you watch any of the like Wholesome Direct or anything on Saturday?
No, I didn't.
I forget which this thing was in. I can't remember if it was in Day of the Devs or in the Wholesome Direct or one of the other ones I watched. But this game, this big walk game, it's by that House developer who made the Goose Game, Untitled Goose Game. This is their new thing, and it looks very fun. It's all centered around like proximity chat. It's called Big Walk.
This, yeah.
And they showed it before, but we were like, what is this game? Yeah. And there's an overview video now where they go over, like, it's you and a couple of friends. I don't know if it always has to be 4 people or not. But you play it with proximity chat and you're just like going around this island and it's kind of open world and you're like solving puzzles and it seems super chill and really fun, actually. This was not really on my radar, but after watching this, walkthrough of it where they like go over all the things you can do, it's maybe one of my anticipated games. It's coming in 2026, so who knows when it's going to release, but it looks very cool to me.
It looks so goofy just like watching the trailer of it, but like goofy in a fun sort of way. What else are you doing in this game?
You're basically just hanging out. You have to go to different sites. It's kind of almost like The Witness, where like you come upon a place and there's a puzzle to solve. But it's all like kind of group dynamics and like you have to, like, there's soundproof glass and other things that are like preventing you from working together. And if you get separated, there's no, like, it's all proximity based. So you have to like kind of find your partners again. So you can like shoot up a flare. It sounds like there's a bunch of different interactable things around the world that can help you to like regroup. And also you have to wait sometimes. Like sometimes you have to like maybe wait for it to be nighttime. And a part of the trailer was like, yeah, we found like there's some real magic that happens when you kind of forget you're playing a game and have objectives and you're just kind of like hanging out in the world. I don't know. I really like the vibe of this. I think it'll be really fun to play if you have a group of people you can play with this online. It kind of also seems like a really good team building game. If you work at like a cool company, like 4 people in a team could play this to like develop their group dynamics. It seems really cool. It seems like there's a lot of innovative like what do they call it when like what's that called? Emergent gameplay where things kind of keep happening.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
Yeah, I hope my company forces me to play that game as a team building exercise. Well, what is this Animo game?
This is from, I believe, this was part of the Microsoft showcase. We can start talking about the Microsoft showcase,
which it was a weird one.
What would you say this reminded you of, Zach? Because I immediately got a certain vibe from it.
All the people in the chat were like, Power World 2? I guess.
Oh, I was getting Doka V vibes.
Oh, really? I went with this is definitely Power World 2, but no, I guess it was not.
I liked this trailer. It reminded me, because like similar to Doka V, wild stuff kept happening in this that seemed like not connected at all. And also there was like a really peppy song playing throughout the whole thing. This is a game where you seem to collect pocket monsters, but also you can become them. It's almost like a Genshin Impact, it seems like, where like you can run around the world and you have like 4 different party members, and then you can kind of flip between them and they have different abilities. Like, it seems like there's a rock monster that can do things, hunt things down. There's obviously a thing that can like make traversal easier. There's a fox that can make things into ice. It looks wild. You have a giant, especially this thing where we fight with a giant hammer. I was like, oh, this is like very Doka V-esque. It looks crazy though. I wanted to point this out just because it looks so crazy.
It looks probably like it's, a Genshin Impact that's like inspired by Pokemon. So yeah, maybe that's what it is, which seems like, now that I say it out loud, like an obvious thing to do.
Who knows if it will ever come out, because much like Doka V, this could just be vaporware that we never see again.
They just like putting out trailers for things like, what do you think of this game? And they're like, well, maybe somebody should make that someday. Then we have to talk about the ROG Xbox Ally for 2 reasons. One, because it's a sort of controller, sort of a Steam Deck-like controller where you can play your Xbox games, but there is a tie-in to Silksong for this.
I was watching this trailer. This is like the second thing they showed. This is kind of their cold open. And multiple times during this, I just out loud said, like, what's going on right now? What is this? And I was mad because, they showed this thing and they kept showing almost exclusively the thing they were playing on it was Silksong. And I was like, what is this? Why is this happening? Why do they keep showing this? And then, like, as the lady came up to talk to you, right next to her was a giant Silksong poster. And for a good amount of time, they did not reference that. They were just like, look at this cool thing. It can do this. You, like, play Xbox anywhere. And she's just like inches away from a giant picture of Hornet from Silksong. And I was like, why? What's going on here? Why is this happening? What's going on?
At least mention Silksong.
It was towards the end of it, they were like, guess what? When the ROG Xbox Ally launches, Silksong will be playable on it at launch. Now, when does the ROG Xbox Ally launch? I actually don't remember if they said. Did they say a release date
this holiday season?
Okay, so holiday season. That does not mean that Silksong is going to launch with it. I don't think we're looking at a situation where it launches the same day as this thing. So we still don't have a release date for Silksong. We know it's this year. you had that article you found months ago where they said that it will be playable at a museum in Australia in August. I don't know what's going on because also prior to Summer Games Fest, there was a bunch of stuff on the subreddit, on the Silksong subreddit and on YouTube from creators who like just only make Hollow Knight references or like videos, all about how the Steam store had been updated with a bunch of different stuff. There's now achievements in all different languages. They added a bunch of different languages for all the achievements, which means all the achievements are finalized. All of these things are pointing to, oh yeah, it's definitely happening. They did that awful thing at Summer Games Fest where there was that Deadpool game and he opened that thing and he was like, Deadpool wants us to not show a Silksong trailer, so here's this Deadpool thing. A kick in the teeth, I would say, to a Silksong fan.
Yeah.
And then they have this thing where Silksong's all over it, but still they're like, well, you can play it on this thing, which is coming out at some point. And that's really all they had to say. Wild. I could never have imagined this is how we would be talking about Silksong in any of these presentations, but here we are. We still have no information.
They've still not said, even though they've teased that they were going to say it so many times already just this last week with these two big game showcases where it seems like an obvious place to stick a release date for this game that everybody wants. Supposedly it's coming out before the end of the year, but they still won't say.
It doesn't make any sense to me. At this point, it doesn't make any sense why they have not said anything. Like, it's such a small development team. They are like, it's possible they're constricted by how many contracts they've signed, because obviously we first saw this at a Switch or at a Nintendo. It was at Nintendo Direct in like 2017. It was at the Playhouse, and someone like they played through it. So they have a partnership with Nintendo. They also have this partnership with Xbox, where it's going to be on Game Pass day one. Now they also are going to be on ROG Xbox Ally day one.
Which can you explain to me what that is?
It is a gaming handheld that has proprietary Xbox / Windows software on it that can pull from Steam and like GOG.com and other, like I guess like the, I don't know, it seemed great. Like it seems like all stores will be able to be accessible from this device. It's not locking you into the Xbox ecosystem. Their big thing is play anywhere. So I mean, by all accounts, I think it's a cool device that is doing the correct thing. It's not locking you into a walled garden.
Well, so
but,
according
they're not
to
making
this,
it themselves. They're making it by ROG.
According to this YouTube video that Xbox has put up for this device, it says power on directly into the Xbox full screen experience, inspired and optimized specifically for dedicated handheld gaming. Stream games with cloud gaming, including select games you own. Download select PC games natively to play on the go, or play games installed on your console remotely. So it sounds like a little bit more capable than the PlayStation Portal, but more or less
for sure,
that style of thing. I don't know. The fact that they've thrown in the word select PC games makes it sound like this is not...
Well, that's just for the cloud stuff, I think.
No. So this is download select PC games natively.
Oh.
So, they also use the word select games with respect to cloud gaming as well. So I don't know. Like, I guess if you own it or you have downloaded it onto your Xbox, you'll be able to stream it to the device. And then you'll have like cloud gaming for certain games. And I don't know what restrictions are going to be placed on your ability to download PC games, but they, at least for this thing that they have out right now, it says select PC games, which leads me to believe that it's not all games. Also, I suspect...
It's crazy. I mean, we knew it was coming.
Yeah, they'd been talking about it for a while, getting a device like this. But I suspect that it's going to be quite expensive as well.
Especially, so there's two different models. There's, I already forgot. There's like the Ally and the Ally X or something. Hold on, it's at the end of the trailer. There's the ROG Xbox Ally X and the ROG Xbox Ally. and they've got 2 different Ryzen chips, 2 different sizes of memory, and 2 different like internal storages. So it seems like they want you to buy obviously the more expensive one, but there is like a white kind of like Xbox Series S version that is like lower power that is also available.
Yeah, I kind of am very curious to see what the price point is for these, but
yeah,
it seems interesting. And I wonder, it seems like late in the game for the Xbox Series X to come out with a device like this, but maybe the console generation is going to be around still long enough to make it worth potentially spending like $1,000 on something like this.
I've always seen it be speculated that the next consoles are coming in 2027.
Yeah, that's why.
So, I mean, we still got 2 years.
I don't know. It seems, I guess you could still be using it potentially beyond like the Series X life cycle, but
yeah, a good opener though, I think, for their show.
Yeah. We didn't throw this in the show notes, but IO Interactive also unveiled this other game they're working on called Mind's Eye. Did you see this?
It looked interesting. Did you watch MinMax did a like watch along for that IO Interactive press conference they did on like Friday night? Did you watch any of that? You should watch the highlights video from it because they had a lot of technical issues, including one point where the stream just like stopped and you saw like kind of like an IO interface for whatever streaming rig they had. It was very funny to watch. It was like Ben Hansen and Leo Vader kind of like talk about how behind the scenes, they said it was very similar to like the Netflix thing that happened a couple E3s ago, where actually there was no reason for anyone to be covering the Netflix thing because it was just like a weird press conference that didn't mean anything. But I saw some clips of this. It looks cool. It looks kind of like Watch Dogs-esque, kind of, right?
Yeah, so it's like a narrative-driven single-player action game that, kind of vaguely looks like sort of a Watch Dogs style game, maybe.
I love a Watch Dogs style game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how interested I am in this. I might watch somebody play it, but I thought it was interesting because it's just like, it's not like a franchise game. It's a new IP.
New IP.
So I feel like we don't get a lot of these anymore where it looks like somebody's put like a big budget on just like a single player story driven game. So
it did look super high budget. Yeah, it takes place in like a futuristic city and there's like, you can drive around in cars and you have like a little drone. It looks cool. I don't really know anything about the plot. I think you're uncovering a conspiracy, I believe. But I don't know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. So that I think stood out to me a little bit as an interesting thing that was shown off, I believe for the first time. I don't remember hearing about this before. So, and then I guess we can dive into sort of our highlights for the Xbox showcase. They started off with Outer Worlds 2, which I am interested in. I liked the first Outer Worlds, so if I've got Game Pass, I'll go ahead and download that and try to play through Outer Worlds 2. It is going to be $80 if you don't have Game Pass, so all the more reason I guess.
You watched the showcase. They did like a showcase after the showcase, right? All about. Yeah. How was it?
It was interesting. They kind of got into like the sort of direct that they did for Starfield, where they're like, check out these perks and how you can sort of set up your character and pick different backgrounds. They kind of have something very similar going on here with the Outer Worlds 2. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I guess I don't remember the story of the first one super well, so I'll have to like watch a recap video of that. I'm kind of curious how the story goes from game 1 to game 2. Because it's not, I don't think you're playing the same characters, so.
They had that Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy. I did not think this was a Plague Tale game, but it takes place, I think, at least partly in a labyrinth, which is cool. I guess the same engine as like the previous Plague Tale games, but you played a couple of those, didn't you?
I played through the first one, and I probably played about half of the second one before I sort of fell off and just kind of moved on. They're fine. I don't particularly love the world. I don't know. Did this one have like a lot of rats still, or are they moving on to some sort of different plague?
0 rats that I could see.
So yeah, I don't. Is it the same characters, but they're like more grown up now, or because I don't remember seeing this trailer.
You have to tell. I mean, this one takes place in ancient Greece, it seems like, and that the previous ones took place in like Europe somewhere, didn't they?
Yeah, they seem kind of like medieval Europe a little bit, but I don't know. I think those games are pretty good, so it's cool that I guess they're doing a third one. But yeah, this one seems really different from the other ones. And then, do you remember this Blood of the Dawnwalker, or the Blood of Dawnwalker game?
Yeah.
Kind of.
This looked cool. This was a vampire game, so it's like vampires are ruling the world. It seems like it's the past, or maybe possibly some alternate realm. But they try to make you into a vampire, the main character. But it goes awry, and you become basically Blade.
Yeah.
Who is, of course, a daywalker. And they call them Dawnwalkers in this, which is, I think, legally distinct from daywalkers. And yeah, you're just going to go around and kill vampires, but you also are kind of a vampire, which I think is cool. I want that Blade game to come out, but who knows when we'll see that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like medieval times Blade, or I kind of got like Witcher vibes, except vampires.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then I did think Super Meat Boy 3D looked kind of cool as well.
That faked me out because at first there was a green Mario pipe in that trailer.
Yeah, I saw that too.
But then it was just Super Meat Boy.
At first I was like, wait, is Mario coming to Xbox? What's happening right now? And then it was...
I was about to be amazed by that.
Yeah, and then it ended up being Super Meat Boy. And then I couldn't explain this trailer to you, but a trailer for a game called Beast of Reincarnation stood out to me, if only because of the fact that it said Game Freak on it, which Game Freak is the developer of Pokemon. So I think I remember a bunch of people in the chat like, wait, what? Game Freak? What's going on here? Does not look even remotely like a Pokemon game. Yeah, but kind of does look cool. It's sort of feudal Japan, but like there's like robots and crazy creatures going on. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's the future, I think. It's the year 4026. Humanity awaits its inevitable extinction. So like society has risen and fallen, I believe, and this is in kind of a post-apocalypse because there's plants everywhere, but then also there are sometimes big robots as well.
Yeah, but your main character looks kind of like a Ronin or something. Yeah. So I don't know. It's like if an Asian studio made the Horizon games.
Oh, that's actually a very apt description now that I think about it.
Yeah, because there are robots in it, but it's like sort of old-timey, but not.
Yeah.
And then they did have Clockwork Revolution. This was like a really long trailer that makes me think quite a lot of BioShock Infinite, just because it's sort of...
Yeah, I got like kind of Dishonored vibes a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like you're a guy. They kind of in the first part of this, they show you the way you're going to make your character. A guy kind of runs into the police station and is like, I was robbed. And the police station guy is like, who's a robot, is like, what does your like guy look like? And so it's got this big, cool clockwork apparatus, and you kind of go through all of your traits and build your character, which is cool. Everything in this is like very bespoke. Like there's so many little objects that are like clinking around and have like flywheels and whatnot spinning all the time. It's like the production value of this is like so high. Like everything is made of 1 million pieces that are spinning around and like are like a bunch of clocks. I love all the character design. I love all the like the gadget design. I don't know if this was revealed previously, but in this game you're going to be manipulating time. I guess. You have like a gauntlet or like a glove that lets you reverse and fast forward time and do other random like context sensitive things. There's a dialogue system as well. There's like a part in the trailer where you're like talking to a guy who has a crazy beard and you're picking dialogue options. It looks cool. I mean, it's I feel like this came out of nowhere. I know we've seen a trailer for it before, but it just seems like a really dense lived in world with a bunch of lore. I liked it.
Yeah.
I think it looks cool.
Definitely one of the highlights of the Xbox showcase, I would say. Did Planet of Lana 2 do anything for you? Because I know you played that first one.
I played about 3 hours of the first one. It was one of the first games when I got my Xbox. It was one of the first ones I downloaded from Game Pass. And it was fine. I didn't love the having to control 2 characters kind of a thing. I would have preferred if I was just one character. But I liked it. I don't know that I will ever finish it, and so I probably will never play the sequel, Planet of Lana 2. Children of the Leaf, I believe is the subheading for it. But it looks cool, and I'm pro it existing.
Yeah, and then another big one, I think this was either rumored or leaked or something, but Persona 4 Revival, which is the remake of Persona 4, was confirmed with a very brief, like, kind of teasery sort of trailer. But I think what people are saying is, so they were going to do Persona 3 Reload, which was a remake of Persona 3, and then they're going to do a remake of 4 before they do Persona 6. So I guess they got to get Persona 4 out there, and then they can move on to Persona 6. But this was one of the games that in the chat during the entire live stream, everybody was like, boo to whatever was on screen and just like, give me Persona 4. That's all they wanted. So people are very hyped about a Persona 4 remake coming out soon.
I liked the look of that Double Fine game where it seems to be a sentient lighthouse with a bird that helps you do things.
Yeah, Keeper was the name of that.
Keeper. I liked the look of this a lot. I probably will play this. Double Fine obviously is a very lauded. They made Psychonauts and things like that.
Yeah, at first I was like, wait, no, there's no way
cool
this is going to be Psychonauts 3, right? And then it of course was not. But yeah, this will be on Game Pass October 17th, so I'll probably check that out as well.
Very interested in that.
Did you think it was cool that Final Fantasy is going to be coming to Xbox? Not just...
I am all about it. Yeah, it's coming to Nintendo to Switch 2 as well. Yeah. But I read this thing a while ago that was like, there was a steep drop off from people that played the first one to the second one. And so, just it makes sense that the third one will have even fewer people playing it because obviously you have had to play the first and second one. It's a very story heavy game. And so the fact that it was locked on PlayStation was not good for them because obviously they need the most people to be invested in this in order for more people to buy the third one. And so I think it's a great idea to get this on other platforms so more people can play it. Both Switch 2 and this have only ever said that remake plus integrate is coming out right now. Eventually, obviously, we'll see the second one come out probably for Xbox and Nintendo. But I think this is great. More people need to play the first one so they can play the second one so they can get ready for the third one. And I assume eventually they'll make it like a 3-pack at the end of it. But
yeah. I
really want them to make that third one, which obviously they are, but hopefully it will be financially feasible for them to spend money on it.
Yeah,
and then also
16
Final Fantasy 15 also.
Yeah.
Or 16, yeah. 16.
Which I liked it quite a bit, so I think it's a little bit underrated. But I'm also not like a huge Final Fantasy guy, so maybe I comparatively to like some of the other ones that people love more, maybe they didn't like it as well. But I still like that game. That's, I guess, available today, Final Fantasy 16 on Xbox consoles now. So
yeah, launching today.
So yeah, go ahead and check that out. It didn't say Game Pass, right? It's just available to buy. I don't remember.
Oh, you know what? I don't remember. I bet it is not Game Pass since it's third party.
Yeah, that's probably true. But cool that more Final Fantasy stuff is coming to Xbox and to Switch. What do you think of this One More Thing trailer that happened at the very end of the Xbox showcase?
Yeah. They did have one more thing. They started showing it, and they revealed a main character who I was unfamiliar with. And then a bunch of crazy stuff happened. And I was like, what is this? There was a part where he like opens a door and he's in some sort of wasteland and he's like upside down in a train or something. For a second, I thought it was that one game that's all about opening doors and like immediately being in different times and areas. Do you remember that game? There's like a game where you're constantly opening a door and going down a hallway. Does that sound familiar to you?
No. I don't. So I don't know what game Quantum Break is, but that was the one that everybody was throwing in the chat. Like, is this a sequel to Quantum Break or something like that? I don't know if that's the game you're talking about, but it looks like a Remedy.
No, it was another one. It was an indie game. It
kind of looked like a Remedy game.
Yeah, I saw people saying like, "Oh, is this Control?" But in fact, it was Call of Duty. Oh, actually, what number is it? Call of Duty Black Ops 6? 7. It's Call of Duty Black Ops 7 with possibly returning characters. I don't know if people knew the main character, but I feel like there's a reveal in it. We were talking about this before we started recording, where towards the end of the trailer, there's like a guy who appears who's kind of in shadow. And he's like, what's up? And then the main character guy's like, Menendez. Or maybe maybe that guy in shadow calls the main character Menendez. I actually don't remember. But that's maybe someone people know. It was
the good guy calling the shadowy, probably villain character Menendez. And yeah, I was like, is this supposed, like, would people who know Black Ops know these characters and be like, oh, I knew what this was the whole time? Because I had no frame of reference for what was happening.
Yeah. It didn't really affect me, but obviously, I mean, it makes sense because obviously they own Call of Duty now, so it makes sense for them to be showcasing it. But yeah, I mean, it was a fine One More Thing. Not anything I cared about really, but I mean, good for them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess now that I think about it, and you know, we know that it was Call of Duty. Like, it makes so much sense for it to have been a Call of Duty game because, of course, they own Call of Duty, and they had not revealed it up to this point. So. And they release one every year, so you knew it was coming. But
down the pipeline.
I played quite a bit of the last one, at least multiplayer wise. I didn't really play the story, but yeah, I had some fun playing Call of Duty multiplayer off and on over the last year or so, or you know, whenever it came out last. I think it was like in October, maybe, but it has been a while since I really have been like hardcore into Call of Duty. So yeah, I couldn't tell you what's going on story-wise with the Black Ops games, but people do, I guess, like the Black Ops stories. So, any other notes from the Xbox Game Showcase?
Not really. Oh, I guess I wanted to talk about one more thing from Summer Games Fest. What did you think of that ILL trailer? Do you remember that one? ILL?
Is that the one that was like, it was like a creepy body horror baby type of a creature?
Yeah. I would describe it as like a very wet horror game.
Yeah, not my thing.
I was watching, I was like, this is disgusting.
Yeah, I don't really get the appeal of that, but I guess to each their own.
That stood out to me as just something I was like, oh my God. But other than that, yeah, kind of I mean, I think the Microsoft showcase was pretty good. I would maybe rate it as like a B. The Summer Games Fest, I gotta say maybe a C. Unfortunately, not a ton of things I was able to take away from that, aside from like Atomic Heart 2 and The Cube. But yeah, overall, not the best fake E3 we've had in the past couple of years, but there were some highlights.
Yeah, there were a few highlights in there that were cool. I don't know if it was because I was sort of busy this weekend, didn't get a chance to watch some of those like the indie showcases, which I feel like is normally where I get like really hyped for stuff because they always have like a bunch of little...
Yeah, there's cool little Yeah, there's some good stuff.
A bunch of little indie games that I want to like immediately go add to my wish list, and I didn't get a chance to watch those this year because I had too much stuff going on. But as for the big stuff, probably a couple standouts for me, a couple of highlights, but not the. I was a little bit just hyped to just be playing Switch 2 at the time. So, But yeah, should we dive into playing, watching anything we got going on besides Mario Kart World?
I watched 2 movies, Zach.
Okay.
I watched Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. Did you watch that?
I was going to on Friday, but the only showing they had was like super late, and I was like, I will definitely fall asleep during that. So, because it's like a 3-hour movie, so I have not gotten a chance to watch it yet.
I really liked it. I'll, I guess, reserve my thoughts until you've seen it, but I do think I liked it more than the previous one, Dead Reckoning.
Okay, that's good to know.
I thought it was pretty good. And then I also watched the movie Sinners. Have you seen Sinners?
I have not, but I've heard good things about it.
I also really enjoyed that. I don't typically like horror movies, but it was so everyone was praising it so much. I was like, it came out on digital, so I was like, I'll check it out, and I really liked it. It was a nice little story, excellent cinematography. I watched a video afterward of the director going over, like, the director like really likes film, and so he put out this like big video where he talks all about IMAX and different aspect ratios, and you can really tell there's some very striking moments where the aspect ratio changes during certain scenes, where he's just really like playing with the concept of a film, of just like the things you can do by changing the aspect ratio and using different lenses and whatnot. And I loved it. It was filmmaking. It was filmmaking, I would say.
It was an example
which I feel like
of
you
filmmaking.
don't see a lot in. I think like a lot of movies these days are just like paint by numbers executives saying like we need to hit all of these beats and everything can be lit very flatly and they don't really care about cinematography. But with this one, you can really tell they really cared about like shot composition and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a joy to watch, I would say. I highly recommend both Sinners as well as Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. I thought that was also very good.
Well, I'm excited to watch Mission Impossible. I've heard it's not that great, but I've also heard, I guess from you, that's better than the last one, which I was sort of...
it's uneven.
I was sort of so-so on the last one. But
yeah, this last one a little bit dragged a little bit. I didn't really care for the main villain. But this one, I feel like the pacing is a little crazy at times, but overall the set pieces are amazing. There's some good character moments, and it moves along pretty well. I feel like there were some parts in the last one where I was kind of just like, okay, this is going on too long. We need to move to the next thing. And I didn't really feel that way ever during this one. So
yeah,
pretty good, I think.
There's also a new Wes Anderson movie out there that I want to watch, but I sort of don't have that high hopes for it, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have not loved like his last 2 movies in a row. I've sort of not enjoyed as much as I was hoping to. I think Grand Budapest Hotel is sort of his like magnum opus. Is probably his best movie, and it's similar to like what you were talking about with Sinners, where he's like really playing around with like aspect ratio, because he like it takes place in different time periods, and so when he goes back to an older time period, he'll use a different aspect ratio to sort of give you the sense of it being a different time, and he does stuff like that, and he's got like, you know, all the different Wes Anderson isms as far as like shot composition and use of sort of pastel like colors and things like that, and but it's a comedy as well, and so I think that movie's great. But ever since then, I feel like Wes Anderson is increasingly becoming sort of a caricature of himself.
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about this on the podcast, but his, what was the last one? What was that one called?
The French Dispatch?
No, that was the one before the last one. The most recent one, like, it had Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson, and they're like in this little town.
What was that called? I know which one you're talking about.
It was like, I don't know, a city, and there's like Jeff Goldblum's like an alien or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever it's called, it's like a hat on a hat. Again, I feel like we talked about this on the podcast previously, but like if it had just been the story, it's Asteroid City is what it's called. If it had just been,
that's what it is. Yeah.
If it had just been about those characters and in Asteroid City, and that was the story, it probably would have been great if he had just fleshed that out more. But he kept chopping it up and cutting back and forth between this like stage play where you realize that Asteroid City, none of that's real. It's not actually happening. It's just a stage play that's been written, and the real story is off, behind the scenes and everything. And I did not care what was going on with any of that. I didn't find it interesting or funny or dramatic. And I don't know. It felt like he was just trying to layer too much stuff on top of each other. And if he had just kept it more simple, it would have been a more satisfying story.
Did you like his little Netflix things he did?
I have not been subbed to Netflix for years, so I have not actually seen them. Do I need to go watch those? Have you seen them?
I watched one, actually. My parents were here, I think, for Christmas or Thanksgiving, and they were like, oh, let's watch one of these. And I kind of watched it while I was doing something else, and it was, I think, similarly very complicated, where initially it was a person telling a story, but then a person inside of that story started telling a story.
Yeah.
And then that happened like 2 more times. So at one point, we were like 5 or 6 narrators deep, and then like that story wrapped up, we go back to the, like, it's almost like Inception. We go back to the other dream, that wraps up, we go one level higher, and then eventually the final one wraps up, which is an interesting way of doing things. And a lot of times, because people were narrating, they were like looking directly at the camera and talking to it, and which was kind of an interesting way to do things. But I didn't hate it. I will probably eventually watch The Phoenician Scheme, but I don't know when.
Yeah, I'm curious to see it, but I don't have super high hopes for it. I have been kind of seeing some mixed reviews for it, so I'm not sure what to expect. But so yeah, I got to watch Mission Impossible and The Phoenician Scheme at some point. But what I have been watching is there's a new season of Clarkson's Farm on Amazon Prime. So they're up to season 4 of that, and that's kind of a fun show to watch because you get a sense of how difficult it is to farm. And of course, Jeremy Clarkson is sort of he's very funny, but he's also sort of oafish when it comes to like farming, and so he doesn't really know what he's doing, and he has to have help from all these people, and he's always like trying stuff and sort of getting himself into trouble in sort of funny ways because he doesn't know what he's doing, but he thinks he does. And yeah, so it's been, I've only seen like the first couple episodes of it, but I know there's like a bunch of episodes of that that are out now to watch.
I've kind of been watching that too, kind of.
Oh, yeah?
Well, sort of. My YouTube algorithm has been recommending, I don't know if it's a genre, it's multiple people doing it. I don't understand why it's multiple people doing it. Possibly it's just multiple people uploading the same guy's videos, but there is maybe like a genre of YouTube video that is people taking Jeremy Clarkson from that farming show, as well as from Top Gear and Grand Tour, and putting him into Minecraft. And it's like Clarkson's Farm in Minecraft. And so like he's doing all these things, but he's like basically talking to like villagers and like just like Minecraft NPCs. And then like stuff in Minecraft will happen, and they'll like splice it in to make it like his reactions from the show. And so I guess I've seen clips from that show, but in Minecraft. You should check it out. If you Google like Jeremy Clarkson Minecraft, it'll pop up.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm now very curious to see that. And it kind of does make a lot of sense as a funny, like, fan-made YouTube series.
Well, do you have anything else to talk about? I have one more thing I want to talk about.
You've been watching more Taskmaster?
Oh, yeah. I'm loving it. I can't get enough of it, actually.
It's great. I need to get caught up on the last, I think, 2 episodes of the most recent season, but I'm always up for watching more Taskmaster because it's very fun.
I heard a rumor. I should have talked about this in the news section, but I heard a rumor. So earlier this week or last week, CD Projekt Red said that they're officially starting production on Cyberpunk 2, which very exciting. The rumor that I heard is that in this one, you're Night City PD. You're in the police department, and your main character is like going undercover to like go into like different gangs and stuff. So it's kind of like it's still in Night City, and also a second city, because they've talked about how it's going to be Night City and also a second city that seems like Chicago. But it's from the totally other perspective. Now you're a cop, and like street kids and corpos and everybody, you can't be one of those anymore. And so you're kind of coming at it from like the cop's perspective of Night City, which is very interesting. But you're like an undercover cop kind of. So if that's true, that's a very cool take on the cyberpunk formula.
Yeah.
But who knows how many years away that is? That's just they just started production on it. So who knows how far away they are.
Many years away at this point, especially since they have
PS6.
So many Witcher related projects they're also working on.
Oh yeah.
On that note, do you have any parting wisdom?
Yes. My parting wisdom is to... I just talked about Minecraft. I have been playing... This is something else I've been playing, but I recommend it. They're a Create mod. I talked about it a couple of months ago, but I've been having a weekly game of Minecraft with the Create mod included in it. It's a mod that lets you... It adds like contraptions to Minecraft, and so you can do a bunch of crazy stuff. If you Google, if you just YouTube Create Mod 2025, they make these montages of all the things that are possible in it, where they're basically going through all these technical processes to make a product like a cake or something. My advice is to check out modded Minecraft, which I think I maybe have talked about before, and it's possibly been my advice before, but modding Minecraft really just makes it a completely different game, and I love it. So check that out, everybody.
Well, on that note, go ahead and follow this podcast on YouTube, YouTube Music, Spotify, and Audible. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.